Chào mừng mọi người đến với Before Pass and Go. Hôm nay chúng ta có khách mời đặc biệt Dan Lee và chúng ta sẽ bàn về một chủ đề cực kỳ quan trọng, rào cản ngôn ngữ. Nếu bạn từng gặp khó khăn khi giao tiếp, tập này chính là dành cho bạn. Đừng bỏ lỡ.
Now, welcome to Before Pass and Go. Isn't that amazing?
That's
awesome.
phenomenal.
So you understood it.
Yeah.
I did not because
Yeah.
there's a language barrier. Mike did not. However, what it prompted, and Dan can collaborate on it, is that it basically welcomed everyone to the Before Pass and Go podcast with Dan,
Exactly.
and that we were going to be talking about all languages and everything insurance.
Wow.
Welcome to the Before Pass and Go podcast with your host, Michael. Today, we're joined by the language expert and one of our producers, account executives at Boardwalk Insurance, Dan Lee.
Thank you for having me.
Dan Lee. Now, for everyone that doesn't know what language that was, what was that?
So it was Vietnamese. I think like recently, like a lot of Vietnamese businesses has been around there, and we are growing as a community there. So having this podcast was like a phenomenal, and like it's good for spreading out like Vietnamese languages to the people who might not know.
Now, how accurate was that?
So I would say it's still AI in it, but I would give it an 8 out of 10
Wow.
for that.
Isn't that spectacular?
Yeah.
So that brings me exactly to where we are today. Culture, language, and the next generation. Now, Mike, we'll start with you for this one. Working with multicultural communities and building trust, it now bestows upon you as the owner of Boardwalk Insurance to make sure that you hire the people that can extend their reach to new clientele with languages. Now, how do you feel about stepping into that world?
Look, Canada is a melting pot of culturals, different cultures coming to one community here. And we have to get ahead of that and make sure we're meeting the clients where they are, whether that be from a language perspective, from a cultural perspective. But, clients coming here with the language barrier, with certain cultural expectations, requires a different set of skills in order to meet their needs. And, I think Dan can expand on that. But Dan, Dan's Vietnamese, speaks fluent Vietnamese. I think you also speak Japanese, Dan?
Yeah, exactly. So for me, like I had a few Vietnamese clients that really, they don't really even speak English like that much. They could communicate at a certain like level, but to talk about insurance, I don't think they are at that levels to really do that. So for me to be able to translate the terms, like the insurance terms into Vietnamese, that's really helped them to get to know better about the insurance world. And also it's easier for me to sell them as well.
That's amazing. Now, Mike, how do you feel about the understanding the younger clients and entertaining their insurance space? Now, as far as you're concerned, you've been in this 18 years, so you've seen it all. But what about someone like Dan that's coming in with a fresh mindset, a young man's mindset? Do you have anything that you know that Dan can probably excel more than others?
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of still the old values remain, where there's that values of trust, those values of relationship. I think that's important for the newer generation like Dan to not lose sight of. However, they're at a major advantage because they can take those values and they can really bring their unique secret sauce to it, which is, kind of reaching out. They're pursuing a whole new level of outreach, how they're reaching clients, through social channels, through personal networks. They're also really embedded in technology, so they can gather information a lot quicker than some of the previous generations. They have access to more information and they know how to utilize it. And they know how to use technology and systems and processes to their advantage to work smarter. So Dan comes with that unique ability, with his finance background. He understands the numbers, he understands technology, being young and vibrant, and he also has the ability to understand insurance and translate that into into context in different languages. I think that's a major advantage.
For you, you come from a financial background?
Yeah, I did.
How have you implemented your financial knowledge into the insurance world?
Oh, so basically there were like a couple of incidents that I had. Basically like the clients like asking me to overlook the financials as well, like not deep into like how the financial work, but how the insurance would then work with the financials, like say to the revenues, to the expense. How would I can do to make it make sense for them financially to even work with insurance? And obviously it's more about pricings. I tend to go away from it, but sometimes it's like a real talk of insurance and pricing as well.
So because you have an advantage in regards to you go into the Vietnamese culture and community and try to figure out what their insurance needs are. If Mike and I were to go in there, it would miss. It wouldn't hit the right notes. So having said that, how are you still staying within your culture and your roots to try to maybe educate the younger generation that feels like they don't know where to go, mainly because of that language barrier?
So yeah, for this, I would say for the young generations, the Vietnamese like entrepreneurs that like they're coming up.
That's right.
I would see a lot of them don't really know how insurance in Canada work. And having to know both languages and the insurance language as well, I can easily explain to them in both languages and like tell them exactly what they need and like explain to them what are the terms, the limits, what they covered for, so that they are not missing things, and also like they're not overpaying for stuff that they don't really need, and like just being playfully like paying.
So what Dan just said is that insurances change from one to the next. I didn't know that. I thought all insurance was insurance, Mike.
Oh no, definitely not. That insurance varies drastically.
Drastically.
So
we have to re-educate people. Is that essentially what's happening?
Yeah, a lot of the process is educate. First, it's discovery. So it starts with discovering what the client's business entails. You really have to get a deep understanding of what their business entails to understand what exposures they need to protect. After that discovery comes kind of like where we're starting to educate. Okay, these are some of the exposures. This is what you currently are covered for. Is this adequate? I've seen your inventory. Your inventory fluctuates. I'm just giving you an example. Your inventory may fluctuate drastically by 30, 40, 50% in certain peak seasons. Is that being addressed by your policy? And these are things that a good broker can bring to light and program the policy adequately.
Exactly.
So Dan, the role of marketing and branding in modern insurance. Now, obviously things have changed from 20 years ago. How are you bringing the culture that Boardwalk has given you, and you're now putting your own spin to it?
So yeah, I think like marketing myself to the world of like businesses is important. Doing a lot of things like now coming into social medias, like, and it's involved social medias like heavily, TikToks, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it, and really put myself doing videos, doing pictures, going there, posting stuff. It's really something that people want to see from you as a social proof, as well as something that they want to have a proof to be confident in and trust you.
Proof of acceptance.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
I like that. Mike, when you first started Boardwalk, how did you position yourself in this industry? Because you started off, I guess, pre-social media, right? Mm-hmm. I'm dating you.
Oh, yeah,
I'm really
for sure.
dating you. But
when I started, we had flip phones.
Is that right? Yeah. So then for you, your bread and butter was cold calling. Would you say that that's where it was?
Yeah, in the beginning, there's two things. One was cold calling for sure. So opening new doors, that was constant. That I never lost sight of. I always continue to do, because that continues to bring new opportunities into the funnel. But I think the biggest thing is the network, and we talk to the producers about this all the time, is really navigating your network. So, I would nurture that network, develop it, and kind of grow through that network, ask for referrals, find out who they're working with, and kind of try to get into those businesses through my network. So that's key in this role. And I think that's one of the top ways commercial brokers right now are penetrating into new business, is through their network and referrals.
So there's another aspect that I wanted to bring to light, and you guys have to share this with me. The internet is positioning you, Dan, as someone that has something called the quantum leap. Basically, Mike said, if you funnel certain cold calls, they become warm calls. And then all of a sudden, if you get this one, you can get referral business. So that funnel is specifically derived there. Mm-hmm. but you speak another language. You understand the other culture, the other side. So now you have two funnels, which becomes quantum. Having the two funnels, do you find yourself overwhelmed, or do you find yourself in more of an opportunity to excel?
Wow, that's a good ideologies as well. But to be honest, like I don't feel overwhelmed, especially as at this young age. Overwhelm is not something that I put into my dictionary. It's just working. So, but obviously, like with two funnels that I have right now, it's completely different, right? Like right now, I can explore the Vietnamese cultures, the Vietnamese like portfolio as well as like the Japanese if I want to penetrate into. Also, the English one, the multilingual, right? So really, to me, it's more of an opportunities that I can explore and I can like really get chances to dig into those businesses other than feeling overwhelmed at this stage. Yeah.
Dan touched upon something I think I want to just double click on. You know, the cultural. So we're talking about cultural differences. And I find that, you see in his vocabulary, in his dictionary, overwhelmed wasn't in there. Mm-hmm. I think that is a cultural thing, Dan. You don't take it for granted. Right. That's definitely a strength that you have. You know, the Vietnamese community and certain other cultural communities have that resilience. And we talked about that on our other podcast with Stefano and Alan, how a good producer, a good broker needs to be resilient. And, in that community, it's a community of very resilient people, and they do not get burnt out or overwhelmed easily. And I think that gives them an edge, an extra advantage to succeed, as opposed to someone that's maybe third, fourth North American generation. They may not, this is broad stroke, not every time, but they may not have the same level of perseverance as someone that's coming from a cultural background of deeper perseverance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dan, let me ask you something. Blending business knowledge with client relationships. How are you taking your client relationship to the next level where they bestow trust in you to the point where all of a sudden they feel like you're a family friend?
Oh, wow. This it's right to the spot. So I recently feel like this because in Asia, you get different level, like a higher standard level of service. So I also bring this here because it's not something that I just think to differentiate myself, but it's in my blood, in my culture. So that's something different. People, when they like get my service, they thought it's like high level, it's like high standard, like brand new levels. But to be honest, like to me, it's like the minimum standard that I have to deliver. If not, I failed myself. So,
well said, Dan.
You made it on one of the teasers, that's for sure.
That's I don't want to bring that so people can do it, like get it for granted, right? But that being said, because also in Vietnamese culture, we also have that like family feelings. I also bring that, blend it into my customer too, and kind of feel like treat them as my family members. Sometimes when I get close enough with them. So most of the times when the clients really get close, like, and really, I want to make sure that they have a good level of service. That's what I'm doing.
So where do you go from there? Before we end this episode off, there is one thing that I want to know. I want to also say. So, Mike, you're also Italian, and you also believe in the family culture. Is this why you feel like you and Dan, you align so well when it comes to the cultural family aspect of things?
Yeah, I believe so. There's a lot of similarities in terms of like hard work, that ethic of hard work and relationship. And that's something like Dan summarized it eloquently, where it's kind of in our DNA, it's in our culture. We cherish those relationships. We value them. We put them on a pedestal, and we don't want to do anything to damage them. So our clients, they get the benefit of that.
So Dan, I want you to leave our audience, especially our Vietnamese speaking audience, on your philosophy behind it all. Take it away.
So, đối với mọi người mà đang có ý định mở những cái doanh nghiệp thì ở Canada hoặc là đặc biệt ở Ontario, tỉnh bang Ontario, thì mình là một người trẻ, mình sẽ có nhiều kinh nghiệm để mà giúp các bạn với kinh nghiệm của cả là về tài chính business và về kinh nghiệm insurance, thì mình sẽ giúp được các bạn hiểu rõ hơn về những cái thứ mà các bạn cần khi mà để mở một cái doanh nghiệp mới, và giúp bạn hiểu rõ hơn những gì bạn cần, thay vì là bạn chỉ có mua một cách là mù quáng. Và đương nhiên giá cả và giá trị sẽ luôn luôn nằm ở đó.
You know, Mike, I
Did you
don't
get
know.
that, Stefano?
I
Did
don't
you
know
pick
if you
that
feel
up?
the same way I feel, but when I heard him speaking, I felt like I was part of the family. Like I felt how personal it became.
Yeah.
Don't you feel the same way?
It's true.
There's something about when someone speaks in their own language, in their own culture, and you know that the message is from love. The message is from genuine.
Yeah.
And that's what I think that the whole episode brings, is the genuine approach to understanding not only your business, but just the
people behind
people behind the business. Oh, baby. And now, Dan, the only thing that we have to do in English, of course, is look right at that camera and tell them where they can find you.
So yeah, you can find me in Instagram, through Instagram at danley_C insurance, C for commercial.
And your email is?
And my email would be dan@myboardwalk.ca.
And Mike, of course, looking right at that camera, where can they find you?
Excellent. You can find us on the website at www.myboardwalk.ca and also on Instagram. The handle's myboardwalk. And that concludes our episode of the Before Pass and Go podcast. It was excellent having you on the show, Dan, and getting your perspective on tapping into the cultural and language components of our clients.
Thank you so much for having me, and this was a great episode.
And as always, with our great moderator, Stefano, you're the man on the keys. Thank you both.
Until next time.